Kunja Bihari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Janna Balaba Girivardhari. Gopi Janna Balaba Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janarandana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janarandana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Gopi Jana Balaba Girivardhari. Gopi Jana Balaba Girivardhari. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janarandana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janarandana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janarandana. Yashoda Nandana Braja Janarandana. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jamuna Tira Vanachari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Jayo Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityanando. Jaya Jaya Shri Chaitanya Jaya Nityanando. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktivedanta. Jaya Advaita Chandra Jaya Gaura Bhaktivedanta. Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Nitya Gaura Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Gaura Hari Bol. Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Prabhupada. Nitai Go Premanandi. Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhacharya Astutar Tatashi Srimati's Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahansa Parabhacharya Astutar Tatashi Srimati's Divine Grace Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Ananta Kota Vaishnavrinda Ki Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Premsa Kohoshi Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda, Shri Advaita Gridha Shiva Shadi Gaur Bhaktivinoda Ki Sri Sri Radha Krishna Gopakupanath Shama Kunda Radha Kundi Giri Govardhan Ki Shri Vrindavan Dham Ki Shri Jagannath Puri Dham Ki Shri Mayapur Dham Ki Bhaktivedanta Manor Dham Ki Shri Prabhupada's ISKCON Dham Ki Ganga Maya Yamuna Mahi Ki Bhakti Devi Ki Shamaveda Bhaktivinoda Ki Shrimati Tulsi Devi Ki, Shri Harinam Sankirtan Ki, Shri Prabhupada's Transcendental Book Distribution Ki, Shri Shivada Gokulananda Ki, Sita Ramalakshmi Hanuman Ki, Shri Gauranitai Ki, Shri Chaitanya Charitamrita Ki, Srila Prabhupada Ki. All glory to assembled devotees. All glory to assembled devotees. All glory to assembled devotees. All glories to Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga. All glories to Srila Prabhupada. Namo Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutaleshin Bhakti Bhaktivedanta Swami Nityanamane Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pachane Nibhishesha Sunyavari Prastita Aristaya. Hare Krishna. So I was asked to speak some words this morning on these verses from Chaitanya Charitamrita. Chaitanya Charitamrita is the postgraduate study of Srimad Bhagavatam, which is a postgraduate study of Bhagavad Gita. So I'm already out of my depth, but I'll share some of my reflections and see what we can find in these verses from the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So we're starting on 151. And I asked if I could speak through till text 155, because that concludes this exchange between Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Roy. I know usually the class is given on the verse with the purport, but we're just going to continue a couple more through. So 151. I'll just chant the Bengali for these verses, and then we'll chant together for the later ones. Or you can join in if you want to, by all means. Prabhu Vidaya Dila Raya Yaya Tandra Shane Krishna Kata Ramananda Sane Ratri Dine Pratigrame Raja Agnaya Raja Britya Gana Nabya Grihe Nana Drabye Karaye Savana Aimata Chali Prabhu Remuna Aila Tata Haite Ramananda Raye Vidaya Dila Bhumete Padila Rai Nahika Chetana Raye Kole Kori Prabhu Koraye Krandana Rayera Pitaya Bhava Nayaya Sahana Kahite Na Pari Ai Tahara Varnana. That was quick, wasn't it? Okay. So we can chant text 155 together. We'll chant that one together. Rayera Bidaya Bhava Nayaya Sahana Kahite Na Pari A Taharar Vanana Rayera Vidaya Bhava Nayaya Sahana Kahite Na Pari A Taharar Vanana Rayera Vidaya Bhava Nayaya Sahana Kahite Na Pari A Taharar Vanana. Please chant. Please chant. Vaishnavis. Anyone else? So we'll read the translations. Text 151. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu bade farewell to the officers, and Raya Ramananda continued on with the Lord. The Lord talked to Ramananda Roy about Sri Krishna day and night. Text 152. In each and every village, in compliance with the king's order, government officers constructed new houses and filled each one of them with stocks of grain. Thus they served the Lord. 153. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu finally arrived in Ramuna, where he bade farewell to Ramananda Rai. Srila Prabhupada's purport. It was stated in the first chapter of Madhya Lila, verse 149, that Ramananda Roy was bade farewell from Bhadraka. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur states that in those days, the place called Ramuna also included Bhadraka. So normally we'd stop here, and I wouldn't know much to say about this very brief purport, which is a geographical statement more than anything. But I did look on Google Maps, looked up Ramuna on the Google Maps, and we know that it's between Mayapur and Jagannath Puri. And just using my thumb, I measured up. So the distance between Mayapur and today's Kolkata, you could say, is 1 thumb's distance on Google. And the distance from Kolkata to Ramuna is 2 thumbs distance. So it's twice as far. And the distance from Ramuna to Jagannath Puri, again, is 2 thumbs distance. So you got 5 units. It's 1 unit. And Kolkata must have existed then, but not as a city. It was the British who. You'd know more about that than I did. But it wasn't a flourishing city like it is today. Of course, Ramuna is famous for the deity of Chira Gopinath and the pastimes with his devotee and the sweet rice. But we're not going to go into that pastime here. We'll continue with the translations, a couple more verses. Text 154. When Ramananda, so Lord Chaitanya, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu finally arrived in Ramuna, where he bade farewell to Sri Ramananda Roy. The effect of this is revealed in the next couple of verses. When Ramananda Roy fell to the ground and lost consciousness, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu took him upon his lap and he began to cry. Lord Chaitanya began to cry. And our last verse for today, 155. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's feelings of separation from Ramananda Roy are very difficult to describe. Indeed, it is almost intolerable to do so, and therefore I cannot describe them further. So that might be the end of it. But we can examine and try to understand a little bit, get a glimpse of Krishnadas Kaviraj says, it is almost intolerable. Not difficult, but intolerable. It means it cannot bear to do it. So why would that be? What is he appreciating in this deep separation? That Lord Chaitanya, he's weeping, and Ramananda Roy, he's unconscious. So the depth of transcendental emotion, it isn't mundane. Oh, you're going. It's not that. It's the deepest depths of separation, which I have no access to. But we get a few. Prabhupada explains some of these aspects of the highest levels of spiritual exchange. So in this concluding this part here, because Ramananda Roy has already met Lord Chaitanya. Ramananda Roy's exchanges with Lord Chaitanya have already been reached depths. We get a few glimpses in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. So I did a little bit of research on this, so I'm going to do a bit of reading. Hope you don't mind me reading. First of all, let's just examine who is Ramananda Roy. There's some explanations in Prabhupada's purports in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. Just a little review of his father and his brothers, which is all very interesting. Yeah. So, in the Adi Leela, to be verse 110, Adi Leela 10, 130, 31. This some mention here in the purport. Prabhupada says, Pradyumna Mishra, an inhabitant of Orissa, was a great devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Pradyumna Mishra was born of a Brahmin family, and Ramananda Roy of a non-Brahmin family. Yet, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu advised Pradyumna Mishra to take instruction from Ramananda Roy. And this incident is described in the Antya Leela. Strictly speaking, according to Vanashram, Ramananda Roy was a Sudra. He was serving the king. Sudra doesn't mean some Dumbo digging fields. And people who dig fields aren't necessarily by any means Dumbos. We think some Shudra means duh. No, it doesn't at all. At all. It means that they assist others. They assist. They're not stupid. They assist the other varnas. Without that assistance, the Vanashram wouldn't work. Wouldn't work. You get the Shudras who are Brahmanically inclined. They assist the Brahmins. You got Shudras who are Kshatriya inclined. They're also fighting. They're fearless. And they got the Shudras who are Vaishya inclined, and they help the Vaishyas. So Ramananda Roy, he was working under the kingship of Prataparudra, Maharaj Prataparudra. And when he met Lord Chaitanya, he was brought to. He came in a palanquin. He was carried in a palanquin. You think, well, what, a Shudra being carried in a palanquin? No, he was in the Kshatriya, in that hierarchy, as it were. So let's go on. Bhavananda Rai was the father of Ramananda Rai. His residence was in Alanath, which is called Brahmagiri, which is about 12 miles west of Jagannath Puri. It's interesting how Prabhupada, throughout Chaitanya Charitamrita, he's constantly giving geographical references to these villages and towns, and even railway stations. So it's not mythology. Because we think, well, of course it's not mythology. But 500 years from now, people may think, well, it's just mythology. Well, these books are here for 10,000 years. Reference books for 10,000 years. So Prabhupada's covering all bases in his books, every single base. So his residence in Brahmagiri, about 12 miles from Jagannath Puri. By his caste, he belonged to the Karna community of Orissa, whose members were sometimes known as Kayastas and sometimes as Shudras. His son, Ramananda Roy, was the governor of Madras. A family of Shudras is the governor of Madras, because he's serving the king. He's not independent. Under the control of King Prataparudra of Jagannath Puri. So that's just his material circumstances. Now, in the verse translations, we have Prabhupada gives us these words. He said, embracing, this is the translation from the Chaitanya Charitamrita, Adi 10, 132. Embracing Rai Bhavananda, that's the father of Ramananda Roy, the Lord declared to him, you formerly appeared as Pandu, and your 5 sons appeared as the 5 Pandavas. Next verse. The 5 sons of Bhavananda Roy were Ramananda Roy, Patanyayaka, Gopinatha, Kalinidhi, Sadhunidhi, and Nayaka Vinanatha. Now another revelation here. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told Bhavananda Roy, "Your 5 sons are all my dear devotees. Ramananda Roy and I are one, although our bodies are different." Prabhupada, now in the purport, he says, in the Gauraganadashtapika, it states that Ramananda Roy was formerly Arjuna. He is also considered to have been an incarnation of the Gopi Lalita, although in the opinion of others he was an incarnation of Vishaka Devi. These are minor points, but it gives us some indication as to the consciousness and the real identity of Ramananda Roy, both Arjuna and in transcendence in Goloka. He's Gopi. He was a most confidential devotee of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu said, "Although I am a sannyasi, my mind is sometimes perturbed when I see a woman. But Ramananda Roy is greater than me, for he is always undisturbed, even when he touches a woman." Only Ramananda Roy, this is Prabhupada back to the purport, he's saying, only Ramananda Roy was endowed with the prerogative to touch a woman in this way. No one should imitate him. Unfortunately, there are rascals who imitate the activities of Ramananda Roy. Prabhupada says we need not discuss them further. So, how is this? How is Ramananda Roy? Because he wrote a play about Lord Jagannath, and he engaged 2 of the temple dancers from Jagannath Temple to play the part of gopis. So he wrote this play. I've got it written down here somewhere. Be interesting to see that, to read that. But playing the part of gopis in the play, Ramananda Roy, he gave them guidance and instruction to evoke the mood of gopis. He's already the greatest transcendentalist. Lord Chaitanya wants his association. He asks him to come to give up his government post and come down to Jagannath Puri and live with him there. And Maharaj Pratapuja is very kind. He gives him a pension. He gives him a pension so he can live free of financial worries. So, in his guidance and instructing the 2 dasis who were dancing, Ramananda Roy would sometimes massage them with oils. As Prabhupada said, you can't imitate this. He saw himself as a maidservant of the gopis. That's on the highest levels of Krishna consciousness. These days, there are certain persons who would jump on that and think, oh, this is all transgender, all sorts of crazy things. No, this is the gravitas and the realization and the consciousness of such personalities is beyond our comprehension. But his service with Lord Chaitanya was to share his... It's interesting how Lord Chaitanya plays the role of a devotee even in his dealings with his devotees. And he's asking Ramananda Roy questions as if he's coming to his guru. He's asking questions. So we can just go a brief summary of Ramananda Roy's Shri Shri Radha Gokulananda Ki Jai. Hare Krishna. Prabhupada says, this is a summary of the 8th chapter. We're going back a little bit, just to give us an overview of Ramananda Roy's exchanges with Lord Chaitanya. And the summary of the 8th chapter is given by Srila Bhaktivedanta Thakur in his Amrita Let's get my glasses on. What to do with my glasses? Are they on my head? I got 2 pairs of glasses. I got my reading glasses as well somewhere. Maybe I'll squint my way through it. Amrita Prabhava Bhasya. After visiting the temple of Jayadnashinga, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu went to the banks of the river Godavari in a place known as Vijayanagar. When Srila Ramananda Roy went there to take his bath, he met the Lord Chaitanya. After introducing himself, Sri Ramananda Roy requested Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu to remain in the village for some days. Honoring his request, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu stayed there in the home of some Vedic Brahmins. In the evening, Srila Ramananda Roy used to come to see Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Ramananda Roy, who was clothed in ordinary dress, offered the Lord respectful obeisances. Presumably, ordinary dress means he wasn't, because he was an administrator, he would have some formal uniform, some fancy stuff. But he didn't, he'd just come in dhoti and chadar, simple. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu questioned Ramananda Roy on the object and process of worship, and also asked him to recite verses from the Vedic literature. First of all, Srila Ramananda Roy enunciated the system of Varnashram institution. He recited various verses about Karmaparna, stating that everything should be dedicated to the Lord. So this is a famous conversation which has already been discussed in previous classes, probably several months ago, or maybe even years ago. It's gradually working through the Chaitanya Charitamrita, a few verses at a time. So Lord Chaitanya says, go more, give us more. He wants to hear. Go deeper than Vanashram. So then Ramananda, he then spoke of a detached action, knowledge mixed with devotional service. And finally, the spontaneous loving service of the Lord. After hearing Srila Ramananda Roy recite some verses, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu accepted the principle of pure devotional service devoid of all kinds of speculation. After this, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Roy to explain the higher platform of devotional service. Then Srila Ramananda Roy explained unalloyed devotional service, love of Godhead, and serving the Lord in the moods of pure servitude, fraternity, and parental love. Finally, he spoke of serving the Lord in conjugal love. He then spoke of how conjugal love can be developed in various ways. This conjugal love attains its highest perfection in Srimati Radharani's love for Krishna. He next described the position of Srimati Radharani and the transcendental mellows of love of God. Srila Ramananda Roy then recited a verse of his own concerning the platform of ecstatic vision, technically called Prema Bilas Vivarta. Srila Ramananda Roy also explained that all stages of conjugal love can be attained through the mercy of the residents of Vrindavan, especially by the mercy of the gopis. All these subject matters were thus vividly described. Gradually, Ramananda Roy could understand the position of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. And when Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu exhibited his real form, Ramananda Roy fell unconscious. So this seems to be a habit of Srila Ramananda Roy. He falls unconscious. So this isn't the unconsciousness of ignorance, not the unconsciousness of a hit in the face. It's the a consciousness of overwhelming spiritual emotions. After some days, Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu asked Ramananda Roy to retire from government service and come to Jagannath Puri. These descriptions of the meetings between Ramananda Roy and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu are taken from the notebook of Swarup Damodar Goswami. So we have notebooks in more recent years. Srila Prabhupada's servants, they would make notes, kept diaries and wrote notes. So we're very grateful to them for the innumerable biographies of Prabhupada. So many biographies about Prabhupada. We have Prabhupada Lilamrita, which is like an overview, not very detailed, just an overview, very wonderful. So reading that, one might get a taste for reading more about Prabhupada's pastimes. Because Prabhupada's books are the result of his pastimes, you could say. Prabhupada came to the West under the instruction of Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati. And the books are the result of that. But without his servants and helpers and devotees and temples, none of this could have happened. None of it would have happened. In fact, Lord Chaitanya's pastimes, he didn't come alone. So many of his devotees and servitors and persons took birth to help him. In fact, his servitors and associates, he brought with him from Krishna's pastimes. There's a whole list of who was who. We've just discussed, which is Ramananda Roy. It was Arjuna. There's an interesting letter from the devotee artist who painted Panchatattva behind us. She painted it here, up in what is the Life Membership office, overlooking the Rose Garden. That used to be the art room. And Nrsingadev was painted there. And Sadbhuj was painted there. And Srila Prabhupada, he was painted up there. And Panchatattva also painted up in what was an art room. This is when we first got the manor. Why am I mentioning this? Because the lady who painted it, Saradia, she passed away a couple of years ago. But there's a letter from Prabhupada to her, and he's, in answer to your question, because we never get the letter, we never see the letters that the devotee wrote. All we see is the letter that Prabhupada wrote in response. So we can get a clue. So Prabhupada says, in answer to your question, there's only one Arjuna, and only one Mother Devaki. No, wait. You have to excuse me, my memory is going these days. Who was Krishna's mother? Huh? No, not sure. His actual mother. It was Devaki. Okay, Devaki. So Prabhupada says there's only one Devaki and only one Arjuna. So Saradi is asking, Krishna is appearing in so many different universes. Is there an Arjuna for every universe? You'd think that. And Prabhupada also says there's no Arjuna in the spiritual sky. There's no battlefield of Kurukshetra in the spiritual sky. There's no demons in the spiritual sky. And Krishna doesn't take his birth in a prison in the spiritual sky. He's eternally the son of Mother Yashoda. But his pastimes here, they're not quite so straightforward. There's a lot of always... Krishna managed to negotiate all these various material shenanigans which are going on. So, only one Arjuna and only one Mother Devaki. And Prabhupada at the end of the letter, he says a few, then at the end of the letter he says, this is impossible for the materially conditioned mind to comprehend. When you consider Krishna's taking his birth, and my understanding is when Vasudeva takes Krishna across the river Jamuna, and somehow or other he drops him, Krishna's gone in the water, and he manages to pick him up again. But that moment, Krishna now is taking birth in another universe. So it's not very long before Krishna's now appearing in this unlimited universes, and there's only one Arjuna. How is that possible? It's the potency of the pure devotee, the eternally liberated souls. Their potency is inconceivable. Inconceivable. So how is it that Arjuna, he's now appearing as Ramananda Roy, at the same time he's now off in another universe, he's also playing the part of Arjuna somewhere else. It's inconceivable. We cannot comprehend. All we can accept is that the Supreme Lord has inconceivable potencies, and the Jiva soul also has inconceivable potencies. But whereas the Supreme Lord is unlimitedly unlimited, the Jiva is limitedly unlimited. The Jiva is never unlimited. He's limitedly unlimited. He's inconceivable. And sometimes we get a glimpse when the Lord's, the pure devotees of the Lord do inconceivable things. Prabhupada, what Srila Prabhupada did in the 12 years he was here in the Western world. It's inconceivable. An old man. How can anyone do that? How could a young man do it? How could anyone do it? Anyone. And look at Prabhupada's age. In a foreign culture. So these are the pastimes of the Lord and his devotees. And the discussion between Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Roy, please. It's on such a level, it's such an intimate level. What happens, I make a bunch of notes and I don't cover half of them. But Lord Chaitanya describes himself, he says to Ramananda Roy, the reason we get on so well, we're both madmen. You're mad and I'm mad. In fact, there are those in India who can dismiss, in the West as well, some of the scholars dismiss Lord Chaitanya, oh, he's just a madman. Well, yes, he was crazy for love of Krishna. But that's the kind of madness which is to be desired and embraced. We shouldn't, because also crazy people, some of the sahajis, they imitate this madness to get followers. They roll around the ground and cry and all sorts of things. Very dangerous. You can't imitate these things. So let's just see. When do we have to finish? past, is it? 9 o'clock. On Saturday, okay. We've got a bit more then. What's that? Okay, so we can go a bit longer then. That's good. So, we've come to the point in this summary Ramananda Roy he's composed verses, especially some verses for Lord Chaitanya. It's very deep. I'm not going to repeat them here, but after reciting these verses in the translations, it says, saying this, Ramananda Roy began to sing a song he had composed. And it is there in the Chaitanya Charitamrita. But Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, out of ecstasy of love of Godhead, immediately covered Ramananda's mouth with his hand. This isn't polite behavior, is it? If you're talking to someone and then you say, shut up. No, don't say that. No. Because this is actually, Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Roy, their relationship was very intimate, very deep. So in the purport, Prabhupada says, the topics discussed between Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and Ramananda Roy cannot be understood by a materialistic poet, nor by intelligence or material perception. So that's you and I finished. We can't really understand it, but Prabhupada does explain. He says, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur states that the spiritual mellow can be realized only when one is situated on the transcendental platform, beyond the material stage of goodness. That platform is called Vishuddha Sattva. Sattvam Vishuddham Vasudev Sabhitam. Realization of the Vishuddha Sattva platform is beyond the pale of the material world and is not perceived by bodily senses or mental speculation. Our identification with the gross body and subtle mind is different from the spiritual understanding. So when we try and understand these things, our only reference point is our bodily identification or the mind. Those are our reference points. So when it comes to transcendental topics, like we're just glimpsing, just getting a little hint here, we've no reference point. They can only have analogies. It's all analogies. Our identification with the gross body and subtle mind is different from the spiritual understanding. Since the intelligence and mind are material, the loving affairs of Sri Radha and Sri Krishna are beyond their perception. Sarvapadi vinirmuktam tat paratvena nirmalam. When we are free from all material designations and our senses are completely purified by the bhakti process, we can understand the sense activities of the absolute truth. So when our senses are completely purified, that means we don't give up the senses. We have senses all the way through. We have the gross senses, which we see of the world around us. We have subtle senses. We have etheric senses, mental senses, intelligence senses, all the way through to the spiritual body. We have eternally have senses. But our senses are so covered by our own wayward consciousness that we don't see anything spiritual. Therefore our senses need purifying. And it comes from chanting the holy names and taking Bhagavad Prasadam, about 25 minutes before breakfast, and serving, using our senses in the service of the Lord. It isn't just chanting. It isn't just taking Prasadam. So many things. Sweeping the floor, making the garlands, dressing the deity, giving a class, listening to class, painting a picture, doing the maintenance in the grounds, making life members, preaching to guests, driving a car to Harinam, going on Hari. All this is the senses. It's the senses and mind. But using them in Krishna's service, Prabhupada says, when the senses are used in Krishna's service, and the intention is pure, you're not doing it for profit or adoration or distinction. When the senses are pure, when the intention is pure, it's on the Brahmabhuta platform. The activity is on the Brahmabhuta platform because it's service to the Lord. It's purifying us and it purifies our senses, and above all, it purifies our intention. Because it's intention which keeps us here. Life after life after life after life. It's our intention. It's not Maya. It's my intention. You don't blame Maya. She's there to test us. What do you want? What do you really want? And we say, oh, well, I'd like this. Okay, here you are. No? It's her reciprocating with our desire. Just as Krishna reciprocates with our desire. Well, is that what you want? Well, look, there's a little species of life here, perfectly designed for you. Here it is. That's what you can be. All your desires are fulfilled. And Prabhupada says that Krishna is so kind, even the crab feels it's happy. You go to the seaside, you see the crabs, they've got the little nippers. I assume it's a morning walk sometime, because Prabhupada sometimes walks on the beach, you know. He sees the birds and the crabs running backwards and forwards when the waves come in. So Prabhupada's saying, see, it's a living, it's a jiva soul just like you and me. But Krishna blesses you, yeah, you're happy. So Krishna, he's the supreme, and we are part and parcel of that supreme, and we have freedom just like he has freedom, and we can misuse our freedom. Krishna can't misuse his freedom. Maybe that's what we're envious of. He can't misuse his freedom. Whatever Krishna wants to do, he can do it. He does it. He's Krishna. He's God. But we do whatever we want to do. It might get into trouble if you want to do it separate from Krishna. And here we are. Hello. Life after life after life. So let's go back to where are we? Yeah, the spiritual senses. So we're saying we have eternal spiritual senses which are covered. They need purifying. The spiritual senses are beyond the material senses. A materialist can think only of the negation of material variety. He cannot understand spiritual variety. Negation of material, I mean, not netty, not this, it's not this, it's not this, not this, not this. Okay, but what is it? The point of the eventual destination of not this, netty, it comes as Brahman realization. You realize you're not the body, and you're not these senses, you're not the mind. I've nothing to do with any of this. But it's the 0 point. It's like you're coming to, okay, it's not, but then what is? No, what is? And that's the realm of transcendence, Vaikuntha and Goloka. Prabhupada says that the Brahman effulgence, Brahman realization is the last snare of Maya. The last snare of Maya. You're in the Brahmajyoti, the last snare of Maya. Why? Because you can still be illusioned. You realize you're eternal. Brahman realization is you realize that you are eternal, Sat realization. But we haven't realized who we are. I am eternal, but what is my function in eternity? It hasn't been revealed because I don't serve. There's no one to serve, it's all me. There's no one to love, it's all me. There's no love, no service. And that's why Prabhupada says that Brahman is the most dangerous place. It's the most dangerous place. Let's see. I need a bookmark on this, don't I? He thinks that spiritual variety simply contradicts material variety and is a negation or void. But such conceptions cannot even reach the precincts of spiritual realization. They're just concepts. They're concepts. They don't even touch the precincts, Prabhupada. I like that word, the precincts. The wonderful activities of this is Prabhupada's giving credit here. Prabhupada is the wonderful activities of the gross body and the subtle mind. It's wonderful. They are wonderful. Are always imperfect. So it's wonderful, but it isn't perfect. It's born and it dies. It's smelly. You've got to look after it. It gets sick, and eventually it's gone. Therefore, Prabhupada is described as a phantasmagoria. It's not actually real. It's here, but it's so temporary. As we get on in years, we just look back. Whole life gone just like that. And we're on our deathbed. What happened? It's gone. The whole thing's gone. So it's here, it's real, but it's a phantasm. It's like a dream. Your dreams are very real at night time, but where is it today? Where is it now? It's gone. The wonderful activities of the gross body and mind are always imperfect. They are below the degree of spiritual understanding. They are below the degree of spiritual understanding and are ephemeral, like a phantasmagoria. The spiritual mellow is eternal, eternally wonderful, and is described as purna, shuddha, nitya mukta. That is, completely, perfectly pure, and eternally liberated from all material conceptions. Just read that again. The spiritual mellow is eternally wonderful and is described as purna, shuddha, nitya mukta. That means complete, perfectly pure, and eternally liberated from all material conceptions. When we are unable to fulfill our material desires, there is certainly sorrow and confusion. This may be described as vivarta, but in spiritual life, there's no sorrow, inebriety, or imperfection. Srila Ramananda Roy was expert in realizing the spiritual activities of Srimati Radharani and Krishna. And Ramananda's spiritual experience was placed before Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu as he inquired whether the Lord approved his realization of spiritual truth. So that's one of the reasons we have philosophy, is to convince us where to place our faith. So our faith isn't blind. There's people who have faith in some spiritual paths, and very devotional sometimes, but the philosophy is very lacking. Still they have faith. Some are fortunate that they place their faith in a genuine spiritual preceptor, but there's no philosophy that they can explain things with. We're very fortunate in our Gaudiya Vaishnava Siddhanta. We have a very deep philosophy, all the way to the highest levels of transcendence, as we're discussing here, as Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Roy are discussing, the highest levels of transcendence, and the philosophy to go with it all the way. At the same time, the philosophy is there to confirm our realizations, to confirm our insights. You have an insight, is it fantasy? Is it just my concoction? Then the philosophy is there to confirm, yeah, this is real, or not. Or not. So this Prabhupada just said here, he's presenting he's realized, Ramananda Roy has realized this highest exchange between Srimati Radharani and Krishna. And he's presenting it to Lord Chaitanya to approve his realization as a spiritual truth. Prabhupada goes on to say, there are 3 books prominent in this connection. Same purport. One was written by Bhaktivedanta Manor, and it is called Vivarta Bilas. Another one was compiled by Jagadananda Pandit. It is called Prema Vivarta. And Sri Ramananda Roy's book is called Prema Bilas Vivarta. It's interesting, we were saying before, Prabhupada covers all bases. So in the future, I mean, I'm not familiar with these at all, but there's lots of works with the word Vivarta in, and Prabhupada's saying, well, the different people with different contents. Sri Ramananda Roy's book is called Prema Bilas Vivarta. The Vivarta Bilas of Bhaktivedanta Manor is completely different from the other 2 books. Sometimes a university student or professor tries to study these transcendental literatures and attempts to put forth a critical analysis from the mundane view, with an end to receiving a degree like a PhD. Such realization is certainly different from that of Ramananda Roy. If one actually wants to take a PhD from Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and be approved by Ramananda Roy, he must first become free from all material designations. So anyone wants a PhD from Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Roy, you've got to be free from all material designations. And Prabhupada says, he gives a quote, Sarva, excuse me, my eyes are not so good. I'll give you the English translation. This is from the Chaitanya Madhya Lila, chapter 19. Sarva Paudi Vinir Muktam, his famous verse. Some of you probably know it. I'm sure Govinda does. You're giving class tomorrow, aren't you? The translation is, bhakti or devotional service means engaging all our senses in the service of the Lord, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the master of all the senses. When the spirit soul renders service unto the Supreme, there are 2 side effects. One is freed from all material designations, and one's senses are purified simply by being employed in the service of the Lord. All there. Devotional service. Become free from material designations, and all the senses become purified. So one may ask, well, how is it possible, if I'm not on the Brahma Bhuta platform, what happens? I don't have spiritual senses. I don't have spiritual realizations. Some insights, perhaps. Well, that's the secret is that one offers one service to satisfy the Acharya, the spiritual master, who gives us guidance of what is spiritual activities and what is material activities. And that service, as we said before, that will purify. Prabhupada says, a person who identifies with his material body cannot understand these talks between Sri Ramananda Rai and Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So I can't understand it for sure. Man-made religious scriptures and transcendental philosophical talks are quite different. Indeed, there is a gulf of difference between the two. So, Prabhupada's talking about materially motivated religions and scriptures, which don't talk about anything about transcendence. In fact, many of them don't even talk about the soul. They don't speak about Godhead. More about moral principles, which are good, but nothing transcendental. The subject matter has been very diligently described by Sriman Madhvacharya, since material philosophers are situated in the material conception of life. They are unable to realize the spiritual prema vilas vivarta. They cannot accommodate an elephant upon a dish. What do you make of that? The material philosophers cannot accommodate an elephant upon a dish. I'll leave you to think about that for a second. Similarly, mundane speculators cannot capture the spiritual elephant within their limited conception. It is just, there's a clue here. Prabhupada says, it is just like a frog's trying to measure the Atlantic Ocean by imagining it so many times larger than his well. So there's a common phrase, isn't there? You don't see the elephant in the room. Okay. An elephant in the room is conceivable, because we don't see them, because no one's got elephants around so much these days. Prabhupada talks about an elephant on a dish. How can you get an elephant on a dish? How can you thread an elephant through the eye of a needle? Prabhupada said it's like the frog in the well. It's always related to my little conception. So in other words, Prabhupada saying the inconceivable. The realm of transcendence is inconceivable, but we're given hints and descriptions to enthuse us to and purify our senses by service. And then those things will come. And Prabhupada's done the most amazing gift in the terms of Krishna book, which is the most confidential aspects of the Srimad Bhagavatam. And Prabhupada seamlessly links the translation with the purports all the way through. You can't really separate them. What a wonderful... Because Prabhupada wasn't sure if he would be here to translate the entire 10th canto, and indeed he wasn't. He left before he finished it. But Krishna book gives us access. I have fond memories years ago in the temple, hot milk in the evening, and hearing Krishna book. Someone would be reading Krishna book in the prasadam room, when it was prasadam room. Krishna book and hot milk. They were both the nectar. So this topic is way beyond me. We shouldn't pretend to, if one does have access to it, generally keeps it to themselves. Those who access this, they generally keep this intimate discussions. It's not for a general public. So we haven't gone into it too deeply. No, this does come to the general public. So one should, Prabhupada says one should be very cautious on this. So anyway, we've got a few minutes left if there's any questions or commentaries. Yes, Boo. I've got a microphone. Anybody, please? Oh, thank you, Boo.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu. Thank you so much for the class. My question had to do with the statement that you mentioned wherein Chaitanya Mahaprabhu says that Ramanand Rai is, one of the sons of Bhavanand Rai is non-different from me. So Arjuna, is he, in terms of tattva, the same as Krishna or different, and why is that statement made?
My understanding is that Arjuna is, he's either Shakti Tattva or Jiva Tattva. And you and I were Jiva Tattva. There are Krishna's eternal associates who are Shakti Tattva. And there's certainly one in purpose. They have such a depth of sharing of this conversation, which it's not just here, it's the entire relation between Lord Chaitanya and Ramananda Roy was discussing these deep pastimes. That was Ramananda Roy's service to Lord Chaitanya. He'd go into ecstasy. So there's a oneness and a difference. He's not Krishna, but Srimati Radharani isn't Krishna. But at the same time she is. She's Krishna's internal pleasure potency. She has her own identity. So I would suggest it's a little like that. I'm not qualified to give you any deep realization, so it's my understanding. You say we're non-different. Yes, but at the same time, yes, they are different. He couldn't have a conversation. Of course, we say he couldn't have a conversation with himself. But Lord Balaram is Krishna, and they're arguing, and Lord Chaitanya and Nityananda, it's Chintaveda Veda Tattva. But the most significant thing is individual identity. Even when there's a oneness, there's individual identity, which is very different to Mayavad's. It's all one. There's no identity. There's no exchange. It's void. Very different. Does that satisfy your question? Thank you. Nice question. Any other questions? Comments? Problem? Yeah. Microphone. Thank you.
Then, in that regard of Arjuna, we know that in scripture said you cannot become Shiva or Durga or Mother Yashoda or something like that. Then, is it different jiva, Arjuna, or in that if he's only one, he travels with Krishna wherever he goes, but then he's eternally Arjuna. It means you cannot become Arjuna. But then Mother Devaki is eternal, but I think it's different personality becomes Devaki. How that goes?
I'm not sure what the question is.
Yeah, that means different jiva becomes Mother Devaki.
Prabhupada says there's only one Arjuna.
Only one Arjuna.
Only one Arjuna.
You cannot become Arjuna.
You can't become Arjuna. No, you can. No. Only one Arjuna. Do you want to be Arjuna?
Oh, no, because it's not possible.
Huh?
Maybe.
So, generally a devotee aspires not to become someone, but to serve them. The aspiration is I want to serve. I want to serve Arjuna. So, serve Arjuna, who knows? There's many things that, there's horses in Krishna, in that chariot. They were serving Arjuna and Krishna. So what great souls were they who came and took birth as a horse?
I think maybe I heard that Mother Devaki is different jiva so you can become Devaki, but you cannot become Yashoda. So maybe Arjuna is the same category.
My understanding is that Devaki and Vasudev did austerities in previous age to become Krishna's mother and father. I can't remember the name, who they were. What was it?
Prishni, Sutapa.
Sutapa? Sutapa and Prishni. So I can't explain it. If they do austerities to become Devaki and Vasudeva, and yet there's only one, how is it? I don't know. One would think she didn't need to perform austerities to become Krishna's mother.
Maybe one like when Krishna has a pastimes, it's not that he has the exactly same pastimes in different universes, but just one pastime goes to another. So in the same time, you said Devaki is only one for that pastime now. She is one. Also Arjuna for that time is one. But soon as pastime is over, then goes to the other universe.
Well, if we look at the timeline here, it would seem that Krishna's in millions of universes all at the same time.
Yeah, but with different pastimes.
It's different pastimes.
One pastime happen only in one universe.
And Arjuna is we have Narayana Rishi. That's Arjuna and Krishna. So it gets a bit difficult. It becomes an elephant on a dish. Yeah. It's kind of, you can't really completely comprehend it. Yeah, Govinda.
Hare Krishna, thank you. Just on that point, I mean, it's said that sometimes when the Nityasiddhas, they come down to this planet, then certain sadhana siddhas can enter into the body and they can be part of the same personality.
Yes.
So like you got, for example, Nanda. Everyone knows that Nanda, you cannot become Nanda Maharaj, and Yashoda, but Drona and Dara became Nanda Maharaj and Yashoda. But they're entering the same body. So on the one hand,
that's a really good point. Yeah.
Both statements are true if you just consider that.
There can be more than one jiva. In Haridas Thakur was considered to be Brahma and Prahlad Maharaj. So we find it difficult to cooperate, with others. Imagine you're in the same body. How does it work? Inconceivable. Inconceivable. Anything else? Thank you very much. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Ramananda Rai ki jai. Nityananda Prabhu ki jai. Hare Krishna. The what?